G'day there guys, your daily routine starts now. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now buckle up buckaroos, this is going to be some good quality content. Sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie and get ready for it. I think you're going to love it. Posted by user LateYellow7154. Titled, Am I the a-hole for shaming my family for not supporting me enough during my cancer treatment? So I think I'm in the right on this, but I've also been told I'm an abrasive a-hole, so maybe I should have handled this differently. I'm 25, female, and have cancer. I'm not going to die. We caught it early enough to know that I will survive this. Chemo sucks. I'm already sick of the G.I. Jane, Natalie Portman, and Imperator Furiosa jokes after I shaved my head. But at least I can now smoke pot in a state that bans recreational marijuana use. The other night, I got phone calls from my sister and cousin letting me know that our auntie, who is the most overzealous, narcissistic, self-absorbed woman we know, was planning on having the whole family show their support for my cancer diagnosis by getting everyone to shave their heads. Personally, I always thought this stunt was really stupid, and my sister and cousin are against this for a number of reasons. My sister is a flight attendant and just got off furlough, so she doesn't want to jeopardize her job by showing up to work with a shaved head when her airline has a very strict dress code. My cousin is 14, has waist-length red hair that makes her look like a ginger Rapunzel, and is already dealing with self-esteem issues. Her hair is the only thing she likes about herself, so shaving it off would destroy her mentally. They tried to talk my aunt out of it, but she wasn't budging. We think my aunt is doing this to get clout on social media, maybe even get an article in People. I don't know. Like I said, she will make anything about her. So without naming names, I made this post on Facebook letting everyone in our family know that the jig is up. The gist was that I don't want to see anyone shaving their heads in the name of supporting me just because I have cancer, especially when some of them were the ones behind the G.I. Jane jokes. Instead of doing something that would make them feel good about themselves, why not do something to make me feel good? Like, oh, I don't know, driving me to my appointments now and then, or helping around the apartment, or cooking when I don't feel like Hot Pockets again. Just something to make my routine a little easier while I deal with the side effects of chemo. Hell, even a lemonade stand will do because this is America and our healthcare system is a joke. This backfired, and now many of my relatives, spearheaded by my aunt, are putting me on blast by calling me ungrateful. I should be happy to see that I have my whole family supporting me on my battle, by doing this selfless act. They even went as far as to say that I was acting like a brat by saying they don't help out enough, and what I'm asking for is too much, even though they've done diddly squat since I got my diagnosis. So now my family, except my sister and cousin, think I'm an entitled jerk who is using her cancer diagnosis to get more out of them. And maybe I am the a-hole for how I handled this. I need a second opinion. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I may be the a-hole because 1. I should have worded my Facebook post to be less accusatory and more nicely put since this is a stressful situation in an already stressful time, and 2. I shouldn't be forcing additional responsibilities on relatives who are going through a lot due to current events effing our state over and have their own issues to deal with, especially when the decent members of my family are good, hard-working folk. It's just my aunt is a battle axe of a bully who thinks she's the matriarch of the family. Imagine asking for help while you're dealing with chemotherapy and having a chunk of your supposed support base attack you instead of being decent people. That's just wrong on so many levels. They're getting out of actually having to take on any responsibility and feeling good about themselves as an echo chamber, because if they didn't have each other, they may have to actually justify their terrible behavior. You're better off without them, OP, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, 1931 Babyface says, not the a-hole. You're the one with cancer. You are the one who needs the extra help. And guess what? Forcing a 14-year-old girl to shave her head is gonna do what? Having your poor sister who just got her job back put that in jeopardy is going to do what exactly? Play the cancer card and say, I have cancer, F off. And OP replies, I know, right? I'm not a fan of our extended family, but I love my sister and cousin. I would be furious if their lives got screwed because of me. My sister's career is everything to her, and our cousin is just the sweetest little cinnabon. I am quite protective of her. And Nervous Explorer replies, Dear family, it has come to my attention that some of you think I'm attempting to use the cancer card to guilt you into supporting me through my treatments. Nothing could be further from the truth. Help or don't help, I care very little at this point. What I do care about is that a couple of my relatives are being pressured into shaving their heads against their will by a certain someone, risking their careers as well as their self-esteem. I cannot stress enough that I am totally against this pointless virtue signaling, and will call said person out full blast on every social media outlet I have should any of you be forced to go bald against your will. I apologize if my first post made me seem entitled and selfish, but I'm sick. Yes, cancer card played, and tired of this self-righteous BS and a certain someone's desire to gain likes at my expense. You know who you are. Stop it now. Love, OP. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I had cancer, so I'm sorry to hear that. I know firsthand that it sucks. They're trying to make you feel like the a-hole because they want to support you in the way they feel like supporting you, and not the way that you want to be supported. That's complete BS in my opinion. Forgive me if I'm making an assumption here, but it sounds like you have attention monsters on your hands here. They're unwanted and unneeded. It sounds like your aunt, especially, wants to talk about this when asked, so people can say, oh, how nice of you to join her, so she can look good. It's crap, and you really don't need it on top of this. Side note, I did 3 rounds of chemo, and nobody warned me of constipation, so ask them for RX laxatives. And Squidulacra says, not the a-hole. This support is what people who don't actually want to provide help do to save face and gain social points, just like you pointed out. Your aunt can F right off. And OP replies, take my word for it. I'm just about to go no contact on this branch of the family. I'll make my own family with my sister and cousin. Sounds like a good idea. Just because they're family doesn't mean you can't cut them off. No point in having toxic people damaging your already difficult life. Posted by user Mediocre Scallion 96. Titled, Am I the a-hole for writing a bad Yelp review about my child's daycare, calling them racist? So a while ago, my daughter, 8 female, was complaining about her daycare because they were not giving her sunscreen. She asked for sunscreen, but they said that black people do not need sunscreen, but they actually do. Before the pandemic, they went on a field trip and they made all the black kids sit in the sun and made the white kids sit in the shade because it would damage their skin or some BS. I talked to the ladies at the daycare and they said that it was justified, but said if we brought in a doctor's note, they would give her sunscreen. I made my daughter take it to school and let her share it with the other kids, but then the teacher took it, saying that she was not allowed to do that without permission. The other day, she came home with a bad sunburn and her skin was peeling, and I had enough and wrote that they were racist and segregating kids, and that she could get skin cancer because they're forcing her in the sun without sunscreen. I sent the lady in charge articles about cancer and that black people can get sunburned, and sent her names of the workers who enforced this. She said that they were under her orders and that she was right because we have more protection against this, and said that I was blowing this out of proportion, and asked me to take my review down. I am seriously thinking of contacting a news channel about this. My friend said that I'm being a Karen for complaining publicly, and that black people have melanin, so that gives them lots of protection that other kids don't have. Edit, we live in the deep south. Well, that explains it, doesn't it? Obviously not everyone in the deep south, but hey, racism is still alive and well in this world still. Apparently with daycare workers too. Sure, Melanin does protect the skin somewhat from sunburns, but it's not equipped to deal with what the kids are being subjected to here. Complaining publicly, getting those racists in the facility fired, and getting an audit into that company is sorely needed. And I encourage OP to go to the news about this. This is genuinely disgusting behavior by them, akin to torture. How can you justify leaving kids in the sun all day like that? No sunscreen? Like, that's so cruel in every way. And it does sound like torture in the fact that the kid's skin is peeling off and they weren't allowed to go into the shade. How do you justify that? Please fight for yours and these kids, OP, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, AmbitiousMess8901 says, not the a-hole. That place is horrible, what the F? I would definitely not send my daughter back there if I was you, and do not take down the review. Other parents need to know so they won't go through this as well. And OP replies, I'm taking her out soon. I'm just looking for somewhere close by since we live in a rural area. I really hope you find a good place. This entire situation is just sickening to me. That place should be shut down. As someone with dark skin, I agree. Just because we don't burn as easy as people with lighter skin doesn't mean we don't burn, or get skin cancer, or just feel plain uncomfortable in the heat. This pisses me off to no end. Imagine putting children in that scenario. Not only are they harming the children with darker skin, they're also teaching all the children that the segregation is okay. Also, dark-skinned people are less likely to detect skin cancer early, as skin changes may not be as visible. So like, you might not burn as fast as an Irish redhead, but you also might not spot a new mole as fast. Not the a-hole. Hit them where it hurts and make a complaint to the state licensing board. Do this. They are endangering children. There is no excuse whatsoever for their behavior, and then to double down on the ignorance. Not the a-hole, but make sure this doesn't happen to any more kids. Jumping on this to add that even if they believed that black people didn't need sunscreen, a black person, or parent of a black person, telling them that they need it should suffice for them to apply it. If white-splaining is a word, this is definitely a definition of it. And putting all the black kids in the hot sun so they're uncomfortable while the white kids get the cool shade? There are like 8 levels of racism going on here, and that daycare needs to be dealt with. Posted by user Random Am I the A-hole, titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my wife a helicopter mom after she called the place my son applied at? My son James just turned 16 this month, and he decided he wanted to start working a part-time job just to have some extra spending money and to start saving up. He hasn't had much luck. I doubt many places are interested in hiring a teen with limited hours to work. James started to get annoyed with my wife after he found out she submitted a few applications for him. We had a whole talk about that and reminded her that James wanted to do this job hunting on his own. Over a week ago, James applied at this local clothing store that he likes to shop at since he's familiar with the place. He was told the usual line when he spoke to the hiring manager, "We'll review your application and give you a call." He was really hoping to get this one, but after a week, he figured they were not going to call. Earlier, when I got home, there was some tension. James was locked in his room, and my wife seemed upset. I spoke to him first, and he told me my wife called the store earlier and berated the hiring manager for giving my son false hope and lying to him about giving him a call when they clearly weren't going to. James heard the call from upstairs because she was yelling, and when he confronted my wife, she said she was just angry on his behalf, that they should have called him anyways to let him know that he didn't get the job. But obviously, they are only going to call applicants they actually plan to hire. He's angry at my wife right now for interfering, and now he's going to be too embarrassed to go into that store again since they know who he is. I also confronted my wife, and she kept saying that she was only looking out for him. However good her intentions were, I told her she needed to stop being a helicopter mom here, or she could ruin opportunities for him by interfering. My wife went to our room and shut the door. James wants an apology for her embarrassing him, and my wife says that she did nothing wrong and is mad at me for calling her that. She said that I was the one being an ass for not caring if our son finds a job, and it's not fair for me to criticize her when she at least gives a damn. With the way she's being right now, I have to ask if maybe I went too far and was an a-hole for calling her a helicopter mom. Nothing wrong with calling it like you see it. She was, for all intents and purposes, being a helicopter mom, and you're just working on shutting down those shenanigans. Calling and berating a workplace for not hiring your child is cringe and embarrassing, and I look down on her for doing that. I would be dying on the inside if I had heard my own mother calling somewhere that I applied to and yelling at them for that. It gets you nowhere and just solidifies those workplaces' decisions not to hire you, since you obviously need your parents to stand up for you. On top of that, it just ruins his reputation with them whenever he goes back to these spots for just normal business matters. They're not going to look at him the same way again. They're going to see him as that kid with the insane helicopter Karen mom and judge him for that. Not a fair situation to put your child in, and I don't blame you for calling her that OP. Not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Waiterman says, "At least your son recognizes that his mother is way out of line. That saves you the worry that he will grow up to be weak and scared because of an overbearing mother." Whew, not the a-hole. He needs to start putting his applications in without telling his mother where. She can't call if she doesn't know, unless she has a tracking program on his phone. Shouldn't really have to live like that though, should he? No, he shouldn't, but is the child of an overbearing mother, whose behavior I could not change, only my own. Let me tell you that putting her on an information diet is one of the few things you can do while still living under the same roof, and it doesn't sound like OP's situation quite rises to fleeing and going no contact. True. Sounds like the dad has his back too. I've never really thought of it like an information diet, but it's a great way to put it. I've always called it 20 questions. Try to answer all her questions without actually telling her anything. Not the a-hole. What your wife accomplished is everyone knowing your son as the guy whose mum calls and berates the manager for not hiring the son. What did she actually want to accomplish with her little shouting match? Angry on behalf of the son? Nah, that's a load of bull. She's actively interfering with your son's life, making her a helicopter parent. Absolutely agreed. My son is 13. He's been to all the camps at his local indoor skate rink. They pretty much promised him a job once he was old enough. Dude still has to go through interviews, submitting his non-existent resume. I'm not stepping in at all. He's pretty much promised a position. I'm not involved. If little bruv F's it up, we'll talk. I cannot fathom the entitlement of any parent getting involved in their kid's attempts at being independent. And edits, of course I'll help him with the interview techniques. Roleplay the interview. Help him make his resume. I just meant that I won't hold his hand and force this place to take him. This exactly. You support them and help them behind the scenes. Honestly, everyone is going to blow an interview at some point in their life. I'm guessing most of us have blown several interviews, not because we're necessarily awful candidates, but because acing interviews is a skill that needs to be developed and improved upon throughout your working years. The very best time to blow an interview is when you're a teenager. It sucks and it makes you feel bad, but it also gives you more information. What interviewers are looking for, how to behave during an interview, how to follow up afterwards. All the soft skills you can only get from trying, failing, and trying again. This is especially important for a teenager who's going to be applying for scholarships, grants, and bursaries, where part of the application process is an interview. You don't want your first interview experience to be one where several $1,000s are riding on your performance. Posted by user Mum's Bracelet. Titled, "Am I the a-hole? Agreed to meet my dad to reconcile, but I was really there to get my mum's bracelet that he stole." So my dad and I, 25 male, aren't close, and I was never interested in having a relationship with him. He was the type of guy that was out all the time with his friends and never home. My mum divorced him when I was 12, and it got ugly. Sometime during the divorce, we came home and stuff was missing. Not his stuff, by the way, because that was cleaned out when he left. One of the stuff missing was my mum's bracelet that she kept in a small box under some stuff in the closet. The bracelet was super special to her. Her parents were toxic AF, but my mum was really close to her English teacher/mentor in high school, who was like a mum to her. Her teacher gave her that bracelet at her high school graduation, and my mum kept it all these years. My dad knew she treasured it, and who else would look in that specific place to take only a bracelet when there was other stuff in the house? She knew it was him too, but he always played dumb. The divorce was finalized, and we didn't see my dad after that, and my mum never got it back. Last June, she got the corona and didn't make it. I was heartbroken over that. Still am, I guess. Glad at least that me, my sister, and my stepdad have each other for support. Around October, my sister told me Dad wants to talk to me, so she gave him my number. He apologized for being a crap dad and asked if we could meet to talk at his place. I was ready to straight up say no, but then I remembered he stole her bracelet, and maybe this was a chance to get it back. I've asked my sister before to push him about it since they talk, but she only asked him once and left it at that. I decided I could handle one visit just to see if he had it, so I told him I'd hear him out. So yeah, I met at his place. We caught up on stuff. He told me his sorry story about being immature and too focused on stuff that wasn't important than being a dad or whatever. I ended up bringing up the bracelet and how important that was to me since my mum's not here anymore. He still kept trying to act like it wasn't him until I said the only way I would consider having a father-son relationship is if he just stopped with that and gave me my mum's bracelet. He finally gave in, and thank God he actually kept it instead of throwing it out. He apologized for taking it and knew he was being super childish. I was just happy to have it back, but mad my mum didn't get it before she died. I never guaranteed my dad a relationship, I just said that I'd consider it. But I already made up my mind, and I don't want anything with him. It's been months since our meeting, and my sister is pissed because my dad is disappointed I haven't talked to him. She says I was a huge piece of crap for making him think we'd reconcile. My only goal was getting the bracelet back, and I wouldn't have talked to him in the first place if it wasn't for that, so that's why I wonder if I'm the a-hole. My sister is biased here since she was little when they split and has a different version of him. I think he got what was coming. Sure, it was deceptive for you to have taken it from him, but he did worse by taking it from your mother in the first place and then dragging on, pretending like he didn't take it. He's a terrible person and doesn't deserve to have a father-son relationship with you if you don't want one with him. Simple as that. You did right by your mum taking it back, and it's a tragedy she couldn't have it again before she passed. Not the a-hole OP. Now in the comments, Son of a Gunderson says, "Not the a-hole. He sounds like a terrible person, and the fact that he initially tried to deceive you about it shows that he hasn't improved much, if at all. Also, I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother. That's awful. Glad you have people close to you for support. My heart broke when I found out your mother passed. At least you can cherish your mum's treasure as a memento. Not the a-hole, of course." Agreed, not the a-hole. Hijacking your comment to provide some advice to OP. If you're going to wear the bracelet at all, bring it to a jeweler to put a safety chain on it so if the clasp ever breaks, the bracelet doesn't fall off. I lost my dad's bracelet that way, and I am still heartbroken. Luckily, my mum gave me a necklace, but obviously never wanted to lose the bracelet in the first place. I now put safety chains on all my bracelets. So sorry for your loss. Take time to heal, and don't feel any pressure to have relationships with people who don't bring anything positive to your life. Not the a-hole. He would have given you the bracelet right away if he was truly remorseful and wanted a fresh start. He's still a crap human, you don't owe him anything. If OP meant that as a test, Crap daddy failed right there. That's what to tell sis. OP didn't mean it as a test, but if dad had come forward with it, not lied to start, then it might have left that door open a little. Oops. Not the a-hole, completely justified. Not the a-hole in the slightest, and my heart breaks for you and your mum who never got to have her treasured possession back before she died. Your father is a barefaced liar, vindictive. He certainly did this for no other reason than to hurt your mum, and on top of that, a manipulative person turning your sister against you while you were both grieving. You had every right to get that bracelet back, and you only had to be slightly dishonest because of his extremely blatant dishonesty. I'm so sorry that you are going through this. Hopefully your sister will grow and gain more empathy for your perspective with time. And OP replies, he admitted he was drunk and feeling petty about the divorce when he went to the house to take it. But he had all these years to give it back. I just wish that she got it back before that, but she didn't want to include the cops since it was going to be more drama on us. So he drove himself to your house drunk as well? He's not sounding any better, that's for sure. That was a regular thing for him back then. Alright guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you need a good laugh, please do check out my second channel, Markee 2, links down in the description below, or it's going to appear somewhere on the screen here at the end, little bubble with my face on it. As always, a big shout out to my Patreon and channel members. Your faces are surrounding me right now, and I love to have you guys with me, and down in the comment sections of each and every video, and just knowing that you're always there to support me. It's a humbling and lovely feeling. And rest assured, I do see you, and I do notice your support, and I thank you every day for being here and helping me along this journey. Not much else to say besides that, guys. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I do hope that you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I will see you in the next video, and thank you again. Bye.